What's up, folks? Welcome to the One DFS Breakdown with Jon B. It's 11/19/2021. I'm coming to you today. We're going to talk about the NBA DFS slate tonight. 9 games. Should be pretty fun. How many games did we have yesterday? 650? Yeah, I don't know. Either way, I think it was 11 games, and it was a monster, and I did okay. I broke about even, I think, and that's okay. I had one or two push farther up and get much closer than I... Yeah, for a little bit there, I had a little bit of a sweat, maybe, but not where I thought, couple in the top 1%, couple in the top couple hundred for a little while there. I thought, oh, this could push if the right thing happens. It didn't happen, and at the end, I got kind of pushed out. Low-scoring night across the board for everyone. I think 350 won the whole thing. So, good for that person. Very cool. Sorry, I'm just adjusting my mic here. And it is what it is. Today's another day, and we are going to rock it and see what we can figure out and find out and go from there. I'm not finding a good spot for my mic today. Either way. So here we are. There's stuff going on in the world today. We're not here to talk about any of that. We're here to talk about DFS. We talk about too much of that other stuff too often, and that's not what this is for. We're here to win money, play DFS, have a good time, and so that's what we're going to do. That's it. We got a bunch of games. We're going to break them down. We're going to go through them. I've been working on my model a little, updating information, working on my player pool. Some of that kind of stuff. We've got some pivot tables to do still that I haven't got to yet. Lots of stuff to update there, but we haven't done it. So, I don't know. There's some key injuries tonight that are pretty crazy. Golden State's resting like half of everybody, so. Yeah, I don't know. We'll take a look. Let me push up into the corner so you don't have to stare at my face, or my ugly mug, as I like to say. Oop, that's not the right one. It's like a bunch of days in a row I've done that. Here we go. Push myself up here. That looks good. I think you guys can see the sheet. And then we'll just go from here. So I'm going to minimize this. Got my injury reports. I'm just going to refresh those real quick because they've been up for a little while. And then we'll push through. First game is Indiana at Charlotte. 214.5 combined total on this one. That's okay. Nothing to write home about. 9-gamer. Well, let's start with Charlotte and see where we go. Yeah, I read that Charlotte has beaten the top teams in the East, top team in the West. But they're like just over 500 or just barely 500, something like that. So, who knows what that means? Maybe nothing. Sorry, I feel like I got coffee in my mustache, and I feel like you can see it. So I can feel it. It's bugging me. I gotta shave, so it's getting ridiculous. All right, let's take a look at Charlotte's injuries. Still just P.J. Washington listed as day-to-day. It doesn't look like it's brand new info on that one. It says closing in on a return. But, you don't get a ton out of him as a backup center anyway. So Charlotte's starting lineup: LaMelo Ball, Rozier, Hayward, Miles Bridges, Mason Plumlee. LaMelo is who he is. $8,800 is a good price. 1.33 fantasy points per minute, 32 minutes a game, 32.5 minutes per game. There's nothing not to like there. There's a trade-off. If you want to save $500, you can play Miles Bridges instead. 36.6 minutes per game, 41.16 fantasy points per game. Yeah, maybe his ceiling is lower, 1.12 fantasy points per minute. Yeah, both of those guys fit pretty close to 5x value to start with. So if you're looking for a high-value lineups, that's where you're going to end up going, right? So you could play both. There's a 9-gamer, so can you get more for less money? Maybe. Who do they play? So Indiana, Chris Duarte, questionable. I haven't really looked at the injury report there. So they're playing Indiana. Some people look at Indiana as pretty good defensively. I don't think Sabonis is much of a defender. I think Miles Turner is sort of middle of the road defender. I don't think he's the all defensive player that a lot of people think he is. Yeah. So I mean, LaMelo Ball. I'm going to get some LaMelo Ball tonight. Miles Bridges. Look at Gordon Hayward at 6,500. He's a guy that continually breaks my heart, and then every time I don't play him, he's in the optimal. It's sick. 0.85 fantasy points per minute. Rozier is right there. If I got to pick a guy out of those two, I'm taking Rozier, and it's because he's $800 cheaper. 2 less minutes, 1 less fantasy point, the same fantasy points per minute. If you have to pick between those two, maybe Hayward's ceiling is higher, but like I say, if you have to pick between Hayward and Rozier, you're taking Rozier. Oubre is a guy that just hasn't shown up yet, 0.88 fantasy points per minute. I think that is coming up, but 22.76 fantasy points per game right now. That's on the season. I'm working on getting like the last 3, last 5, so we can get a little bit more accurate information as far as what's recent and what's not. And we'll have that updated on here when it comes. Okay, next few days, next week, something like that. Yeah, people like Plumlee as a backup center, 27.2 minutes, 0.92. In this matchup, I don't hate it. In this matchup. I'm not going to play much. $5,000 is okay. He'll be in my player pool. And actually, that's what we're doing now too. Is we're creating a player pool. So that's part of the fun. So I am going to get to some LaMelo. It's the percentages that will change later. I mean, for sure. They have Miles listed as a power forward. I don't think that's correct, but that's just me. Yeah. It's a tough one, man. There was a part of me that for a long time wanted to really whittle down my player pool and get it just as small as I could, with sure things and things like that. I have a new strategy, and I think some of that strategy is just to spread my team out by having more unique players, in the hopes that I'm not only spreading it backwards but also forwards. Maybe with a bigger pool, it makes it easier to push 1 or 2 lineups into the front. Maybe you'll break even less often. But I think if you can push 1 or 2 toward the front, the last few days I've seen that. I've seen 1 or 2 really make a run at the front. And I think the more you put in, the better. And so we're going to put that to the test again tonight. Obviously you can't play just crap plays. You just can't. But tonight, I think Terry Rozier in this matchup is a pretty okay play. I'm not a Gordon Hayward fan. You know what? That's totally not true. I am a huge Gordon Hayward fan when he's productive. But dude hasn't been very productive. And yes, no, I'm not just playing the starting 5. I can put all 5 of them in there. That's right. But some of these guys are going to be very low percentage plays. They just are. So I can put them in there. And I'm not just saying, okay, let's start everybody. But there's definitely people who have higher percentages, more LaMelo, more Miles than anybody else here. Some of these other guys, Rozier and Hayward and Plumlee, might be lower than 10% guys by the time we're done. But that doesn't mean I can exclude them from my player pool just because it looks like I've got all 5 of them in there. Because, I do have all 5 of them in there, but that's neither here nor there. So, that's kind of where we're at there. Let's take a look going down at Indiana. Let's see. Injury report. Duarte is still listed as day-to-day. I think he was, out yesterday? Duarte was originally listed as questionable. If the rookie has to miss another game, Holiday, Keelan Martin. So, you're going to want to keep your eye on this one. In my pool, I'm going to put him in my questionable column. And even if he does play, is it a full load? Is it minutes? Is it, what are we looking at there? It's going to be something to look at for sure. I like Sabonis. His defense is lacking, but $8,700 gets you about 39 fantasy points. Sorry about that. Come on. Time for emails. $8,700 gets you about 39 fantasy points on 35.9 minutes, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. This is a guy last year who was like 1.4 fantasy points per minute. He hasn't quite met up to where he was. And maybe that's because of the new coach. I'm not totally certain. He's got, sorry, dropping everything over here. I kind of play with my ring, but anyway, he's got the skills to be a stud. You know, you need 41.8 from him. It's less than he averages, so it's harder to get to him than it was maybe last year. His price is reflective, but that's irrelevant. Starting lineup listed as Brogdon, LeVert, Duarte, questionable, Sabonis, Turner. Nothing crazy there. I mean, I like Miles Turner a lot better at 7,400. I mean, yeah, his ceiling is a little lower, but 1.15 fantasy. But the price, I mean, his price is $1,300 cheaper. You know, all four or five of these guys are pretty solid, like pretty solid, but none of them are runaways in my opinion. So yeah, I'll get this. Yep, I'm gonna get this some Sabonis. There's no question. I just will. So I'll get to some Sabonis in my player pool for sure. I'll get to some Miles Turner in my player pool for sure. Man, again, there's like 4 guys on this team that I want to play today. I like Karis LeVert. 6,600 is the right price. 1.04 fantasy points per minute for that price. 28.58. But, you know, this is a pace-up spot, I think, for him. Actually, Indiana probably paces them down a little. But they've been, you know, or Charlotte is a pace-up spot for them. Yeah, no, I said that right. So Charlotte's a pace-up spot for them. Karis is who he is. You know he can do it. So, you know, I'm going to put him in. And it's similar. I mean, if you look at Brogdon, too. I mean, he's a guy who you're going to have to get to. You're going to have to get to him to some extent. I mean, I think he's getting, what, 36.6 minutes, 41 fantasy points, 1.13. I'm going to cross the board. There's nothing not to like about him. Not one thing. You know, this is where you're going to keep your eye on Duarte's 32 minutes. Who replaces him? I think it's Justin Holiday has been playing, but he's a 0.55 guy. Now, I think that's definitely higher in the last 3 games. I mean, we can look at him. I can look at him. I can pull up FanDuel and take a look. Here, we just got to find an NBA slate. Yeah, I've got all my reservations already made here, so. But I'm not maxed out in this one, so we'll just look at it as a new lineup. This will help us. So then let's go. So Justin Holiday, let's look at his last couple games. I mean, nothing to write home about at all. He had 1 decent game here, 14 and then 12. And that was against Detroit. So nothing to think. I mean, I'm not really going to go to Justin Holiday. I got to sneeze. Hold on. WOOT, mute button, right? Saved your guys' hearing. Oh, maybe there'll be more, too. The lights. Going to get me sometimes with the dust and all that. The heat's running. Minnesota in the winter or in the late fall, you end up with the heat on. It's just how it goes. Hang with me here. Okay. Uh, 214.5. Yeah. So I mean that's what you're going to be looking for. It's just, is that Duarte injury real? Is it going to be something that happens? He might play. I got him in my questionable pool. I mean, I know we're making no headway basically just with putting all the starters in the player pool. You know, I don't know. Some people were playing Keelan Martin. I said, I told them online last night that was just a no-go. I was like, that's sort of ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. Yeah, so far so good. I mean, we got a lot of players in the pool out on one game. Too many, probably. Because the total at 214.5, it doesn't really allow for 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, potentially 10 players. There's just no way in that game. 214, there's going to be higher scoring games, right? Maybe not. Just scrolling down, they're all kind of right in this range, aren't they? Or lower. Schnikes. Well, Toronto and Sacramento. That's going to be a heavy game. Especially if it's the late night. Oh, you guys. All right, you know, let's do something here real quick. Let's because I want to just make sure we get our feet under us here and aren't doing some ridiculous things. 27, 23, 19, 32 versus Washington. Yeah, I mean, he's getting the minutes. He had 13 rebounds last night, or 2 nights ago. I mean, yeah, I was against Washington. Well, what's the likelihood he's going to get 13 rebounds now? Slim. Here's Indiana. Well, he had 30 and a half against Indiana on October 20th. Yeah, I guess maybe you can leave Plumlee in. We know what Bridges has been doing. I think, we could look at Gordy and see what he's doing. Yeah, this is what kills me about him, man. Like, oh, yeah, great, you're awesome, and then you're terrible. I don't get it. I don't know how you're scoring 25 and then scoring 8 and 10. Or 6, for that matter. There's some good scores in here. There's some bad scores in here. I mean, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 7 out of the last 11 games, he failed to get over 30 fantasy points. 7 out of the last 11. You heard it. I mean, and yeah, and maybe this is maybe there's a revenge narrative. I don't know, because that's where he was going to go. All that, remember that. Well, Golden State, Washington. Yeah, it's tough, man. 16. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going to leave him in my pool for now, but he's definitely going to be on that sort of short list of people who are going to be easy to cut out. Am I spending too much time on the first game? I don't. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm just overthinking things all of a sudden. A lot going on today, a lot on my mind. It's okay. Nothing crazy. Let's go look at game 2. Golden State at Detroit. I really kind of like these early Golden State games because I feel like I get crushed all the time by when Golden State's at home. And then they're the late night game. They just destroy my life. I mean, this has blowout written all over it, but you can't take that for granted either. Let's look at Detroit. You can't get to too much in Detroit against Golden State. Not tonight. Well, actually, you know what? Timeout, because you totally can, because nobody's playing for Golden State. So that's kind of the funny thing. Let's look at the injury report. Actually, we're not. We're gonna look at Detroit's. Detroit's still Kelly Olynyk. Love that guy. Detroit's starting lineup: Killian Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, Isaiah Stewart. So today is probably the day to load up on against Golden State, right? Because Golden State's injury report is insane. Or at least their rest report, the sitting out report. Let me go back and look at Twitter here. Yep, I'm telling you. Yeah, I mean, relying on Twitter for information, it actually works if you're following the right sites and the right people. Nick Batum out. Jokic is questionable. Barton, probable. Man, tonight's going to be a crap show across the board. Here's the news. So Steph Curry, Draymond, Iguodala, and Otto Porter all out for the Warriors tonight in Detroit. They're resting all those guys. Man, I hope Jokic. Actually, it'd be kind of fun if Jokic didn't play too. Let's just F everything. Let's just F it all and then just go from there. So looking at Detroit, I probably should have done Golden State first. It would have made more sense. Let's do that. Let's switch back. I know I'm being ridiculous. So with Steph out, no Steph, no Draymond, no Clay, no Wiseman, no Andre Iguodala. Who else did they say they were sitting? Otto Porter. So who does that leave you with? It leaves you with Wiggins. Oops. All right. Well, either way, so I should have done that on a piece of on a different one, but that's totally fine. It leaves you with Wiggins, Poole. Looney I think is starting. Right now it says Poole, Damian Lee, Wiggins, Juan Toscano Anderson, and Kevon Looney. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you're not starting Bielitsa at power forward. That's just me. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. But I'm looking in that area for value. I'm looking to Bielitsa for value. I mean, yeah, Jordan Poole's going to eat up a ton of minutes and a ton of usage. His usage is already 26 off the bench, right? Or I guess they've been starting him. I don't know. So, I don't know. Now, Wiggins, 6,200. He's a top dog right here, 0.94 fantasy points per minute. Having been a Timberwolves fan for a long time, I've watched Wiggins fail many times, more times than he's succeeded. Maybe he'll succeed out there. Maybe he'll like being the star of tonight's show. Yeah. So you're going to have to get some Wiggins, right? Jordan Poole, you're going to have to get some Jordan Poole. No, I'm steering clear of Looney. Gary Payton II, if he's not going to be in the starting lineup, then I'm fading him. Maybe he gets what? How many minutes is he going to get? He averages 13. What if he goes to 21? Is that worth it? I don't know. At 4,400, maybe. He's a 1.14 per minute guy. So maybe you can get to some Payton. For me, it's kind of it's Jordan Poole, who's a no-brainer. For sure, playing on the floor with Steph opens things up. For sure. It's Andrew Wiggins. These guys are going to be chalky because they're going to get the ball. I'm probably not going crazy with Damian Lee or Juan Toscano Anderson. I'm going to keep an eye on a few things because I'm not certain that starting lineup is going to hold. It's one of the sites I look at when people go off, they fill it in. But Damian Lee and Toscano Anderson, the starting lineup, I'm not so certain, okay? I'm not so sure. Because I think Gary Payton will eat up some minutes. For sure. Personally, I'm probably starting him over Damian Lee. Although, that's just me. Damian Lee looking like he gets some pretty good bench run already. 23. So, but 0.74. Granted, with all those other guys off the floor. Steph's and Wiggins, or Wiggins and Poole's usage is going to need to eat up a lot of that Steph, man, and it will. It's already high. So, but somebody's is going to have to go up. I don't know for sure if it's Damian Lee or if it's Bielitsa or what. Toscano Anderson, yeah. It's kind of a crapshoot with those three guys, huh? Because you don't know what you're going to get out of them. You're going to have to play some of them, right? Poole and Wiggins are the easy ones. Guys like Bielitsa are going to be less easy. The closer we get to lock, thank goodness it's a 6 o'clock Central game or 7 o'clock Eastern game. Thank goodness, right? Because we'll have news in time. We'll have news before lock. So keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on Twitter. You can kind of take a look. Well, Kevin Durant's out. Schroeder, questionable. Williams, questionable. Just going to refresh and just see if anything else has popped up. Nothing new. So you're going to just have to keep your eyes on that, you guys. I might put some of those guys in the questionable column just because it's questionable whether I'm going to play them. I'm going to put them here, though. I'm going to put... how do you spell Nemanja? Nemanja... I have no idea. Bielitsa... that's probably pretty close. Juan Toscano. Man, I'm way off. Toscano. I think I can probably spell Anderson. S-O-N, probably. Yep. So those guys are going to be in my not questionable like they're questionable to play, but questionable whether they're going to make it into my player pool or not. And as we go and get closer in the final hour, I'll make those moves before I do my final crunches. So just looking up and down, I mean, I guess it could be a Gary Payton II kind of thing too. I watched him play some big minutes against the Wolves the other day, and it was kind of a blowout, but who knows what'll happen here? I don't. Keep your eye. That's going to be closer to lock before we know. But it's going to be fun. Either way, it's going to be fun. There's going to be no gimmies. Detroit, we went over all their starting lineup and all the stuff for them. Jeremy Grant in this matchup, I like a lot. 0.96 fantasy points per minute. Sorry, I got an itch. That doesn't do a lot for me. But in this matchup, in this situation, you got to get there, right? Got to get there. I like Isaiah Stewart too. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're going to get a bunch of players from this matchup. You just have to. People like Cade. I know people like Cade. I'm not a big Cade guy. I've done fine totally fading him, but it's funny because he shows up in the optimal on those nights. And I don't, but I do okay without him. Sadiq Bey. I mean, I just think without the big Golden State Stars, this thing could be like a barn burner. This thing could be like 170 to 168. I mean, I'm lying on those numbers, but you get what I mean, where you're just going to need a ton of players from it. It could be triple overtime because they all suck. Or maybe they're all just shooting lights out for no reason. Yeah, I mean, well, Detroit's injuries we know about, so that's why I'm not putting these guys. We don't have any idea if these guys will play. We know these guys will play. I actually really kind of want to maybe move Cade over here because I don't really like the guy. I mean, I don't really like his game yet. We'll get there. Just see if he can show up. Lakers at Boston. Let's look at that one. I've spent a bunch of time on two games. Too much time on two games. My clarity of mind is not here. I need I think I did have a breakfast sandwich, yeah. A couple hours ago. Well, more than a couple hours ago now. It's 2 p.m., people. What did I say? Lakers at Boston. A lot of crap happening on these matchups. A lot of, I don't know, I hate the word turds, but like these games are sort of turds today. 214.5 total. They're right in the middle of that freaking, can I get like a 244, like where everyone's going to be running up and down the court and going crazy and huge fantasy points for fun? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Let's look at the Boston report. Time Lord still isn't ready. Comeback is approaching. That report's 2 days. Grant Williams will start in his spot. That was 2 days ago. So I guess the question is, do you think he's going to play? I'm going to just kind of Google it and see what it says. See if there's any news. I didn't see any on the regular sites that I look at, or the regular Twitter feeds. Let's see. Jaylen Brown still out. Big man Williams and point guard Schroeder both questionable. Yeah, I saw that already. Oh, well, LeBron's still listed as questionable too, so that's interesting for the Lakers. So no matter what, I mean, you're still looking at Tatum. I mean, you're still going to have to get some Jason Tatum, right? We know what his ceiling is. It's up there. It's up there. The 1.13 fantasy points per minute, 42 fantasy points per game. You got to get 44 out of him against the Lakers. I think he's likely to show out. You know, I don't know. Robert Williams, I'm probably not going there either way against Anthony Davis, even if he does play. I'm more likely to go Al Horford at 1.22 fantasy points per minute. I mean, yeah, he's a little undersized in that position, but that's okay. I don't know about the $7,000 price tag. This dude was like $4,000 a couple of years ago the whole season. He's really had a resurgence. He's really was totally written off as old. And he is old. I mean, yeah, he's old. I'm going to him, though. Days where yeah, especially with no Time Lord. I mean, I like Al Horford. They're kind of offset, so when they play together, I don't like Time Lord at all. When Al Horford's out, I go for Time Lord. When Time Lord is out, I go for Horford. Right? I mean, that just kind of makes sense. I'm not a big Marcus Smart guy. He lets me down. Schroeder's been helping me a lot lately, actually. He's going to go in my questionable because he's listed as questionable. That's just how that's going to go. Keep your eye on the news, you guys, because all of this can change in the next 3 hours, 4 hours. All of it. That's why I don't do this earlier in the morning. I'd like to do this about 10:30 a.m. I think that's what we're going to aim at maybe next week. And it is Friday. I wish I had more news on that. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're watching. I mean, oftentimes I do this show to nobody. But if you're watching it later, hit the like and subscribe. It helps. Sure. I mean, it's good DFS information either way. You end up with at least someone else's player pool to reference your own off of. It doesn't cost anything. I don't ask you for anything. If you don't, you don't. I'm going to do it either way. If I'm playing to 0 or playing to 1,000,000, I say it every day. Yeah, it's not going to affect my DFS any. I'm going to go through my worksheet every day. I'm going to put together a player pool every day. Yeah, I don't do it Saturday, Sundays. I do it on Saturday and Sunday. I don't do the show Saturday, Sunday. I got kids and a family, and I do sneak out an hour or so to get everything up and get my lineups in, but I couldn't spend. I mean, this show takes probably an hour's worth of prep, and then the show itself, and then plus my regular management. It just I couldn't do it on the weekends. I gotta take some time. My kids have basketball. There's other things going on. For sure. So in this one, I'm literally, if Time Lord's out and Grant Williams starts, I mean, I'll look at that. For sure. Otherwise, Schroeder, if he's playing, Tatum for sure, Horford for sure. That's it for this team. Excuse me. Okay, Lakers. We may see some LeBron tonight after a while. It's always easy. It always feels good to me sometimes to have some of these big guys out. It feels like it opens up so many more DFS opportunities instead of just getting stuck with one of these big cost guys, Lakers say they'll see how he feels after pregame warmups before making his final decision. So that's like a true game time decision. It's an early game, luckily 6:30 Eastern, so hopefully we'll have some news before lock. So it's tough. I don't make any assumptions. I don't put people in my pool that are game time decisions. I put them on the side, and then I add them to my crunches at the last minute if I have to. I can't do that many crunches. I can't add all these guys in and then say, okay, I've got a crunch for every scenario. It would take all day. It would take more, it's that 80 hours thing. I only have 24 hours in a day. I can't fit 80 hours worth of work into it. Those of you involved will know what I'm talking about. Anthony Davis listed day to day. I mean, he's going to have a cute tag the entire freaking season. It's just how it goes. I mean, this dude's so frail and fragile. I like his play. He's hurt all the time. Got a P tag listed as probable starting lineup. So Austin Reeves, LeBron, Kendrick, Ariza, nothing new. Westbrook, Bradley, THT, LeBron, and Anthony Davis. Well, if LeBron's back, then Talen Horton-Tucker is going to take a hit in usage. There's no question about that. But let's talk about Anthony Davis because we know he'll play. It's probably pretty likely. And we know what his ceiling looks like. It's massive. 10,300, 34.6 minutes a game, 48.26 fantasy points per game on 1.39 fantasy points per minute, 28.4 usage, which I think is actually down since LeBron has been in, and that's because Talen Horton-Tucker's usage has been so far up. Yeah, I don't know. THC's going to be a hard play with LeBron back. I mean, he's listed in the starting lineup, but his usage can't maintain that with LeBron on the floor. It just can't. And his minutes, he'll have to cede some of those minutes too. He'll just have to. So for me on this one, Anthony Davis is a play. For sure. The matchup is good. I mean, Al Horford, I'm not sure can really stop him. Russell Westbrook, yeah, his ceiling is high. 1.19 fantasy points per minute, 42 points a game, 9,500. So anytime you get a big with a high ceiling like that, that's under 10,000, you have to play them just because of the opportunity. I might put THT over here, just in case. If LeBron doesn't play, I'll go THT. If he does play, I won't. I'd need to see more out of him. I mean, I need to see what happens with his usage, because I don't think he can maintain it, like I said. I mean, you can get to some Carmelo at 5,600. 0.88, I think, is on the rise. I'd be interested to know what it is like the last 5 games, as opposed to the whole season so far. Yeah, all these other guys, Malik Monk, his minutes will go down. THT's really pushed himself forward as the guy, as the go-to there. So, yeah, you can't expect much out of Kent Bazemore, Avery Bradley, Wayne Ellington. I mean, these guys are getting 20 minutes a game, give or take, but look at their production. 0.53, 0.48, 0.5, 0.5. I think a lot of that has to do with when they're on the floor, one of these big guys is still on the floor and demanding the ball. I mean, that's just how it goes with the Lakers. It just is what it is. So, that's all I got for them. Let's go to the next game. That one was 214.5. Here's Orlando at Brooklyn, 214.5. It's just that 214, 215 range is kind of gross. Kind of makes things harder on me. Let's see. There we go. Start with Brooklyn. No KD, right? What's that changed? Let me refresh this. Joe Harris, Millsap, Claxton, Kyrie. No KD that I'm aware of. I think on Twitter it said no KD. Double check. Zeke Naji rolled out. That's interesting. That's Kevin Durant listed as out tonight. Right shoulder sprain. So no Kevin Durant. That's going to open up some value with some Bruce Brown, in my opinion. James Harden's going to be the ball guy. You know, think about it. He's going to have the ball a lot more. Because KD's usage is 31.4. It's got to go somewhere. Harden 9,900. You're not going to get James Harden cheaper than 10 very often. .26 fantasy points per minute for Harden. I mean, maybe this is one of those games where he shows up. I like LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't like LaMarcus Aldridge's minutes. Bruce Brown, Joe Harris. I think Joe Harris is out indefinitely, so that you don't have to go anywhere there. And against Orlando, I mean, this thing could be like a 240, not 214, you know? So, Bruce Brown. Yeah, probably going to get me some Bruce Brown tonight. They have him listed at the small forward. I don't know if I like that. They also have Patty Mills in. But I think that's right because Joe Harris has been out. I think he's still going to have to go there. I mean, price-wise, it makes sense, right? Let's see. Where's Patrick Mills? That's right, Patrick Mills. I said it, $4,000. 26 minutes if he gets, even if he gets more. I mean, you're going to have to go there for that price. Yeah, maybe Blake Griffin. Maybe Blake Griffin eats up some of that usage, but 0.78 is uninspiring. Maybe he eats up some of that usage. Going down the list, I just don't know who else they're going to get to. Millsap out. Javon Carter, maybe. Day'Ron Sharp hasn't played. This has James Johnson in the starting lineup. If James Johnson's in the starting lineup, you're going to have to play him. He's the bare min, right? And we haven't had any news saying that other than this one sheet that I'm looking at that has him in the starting lineup. I don't think that news has been released. I think they're guessing. So that's tough. But I'm going to put him on my maybe, basically. Maybe I should rename this to questionable / maybe. Right? I don't know. Why not? Yeah, at 3,500, he's the bare minimum. You'll have to get a bunch of him. Even if he gets, I don't know, goes from 25 minutes, 23 minutes. Yeah, he's old. And maybe, but yeah, that's a good question. Maybe LaMarcus gets in the starting lineup. I guess that's something to look at. He killed me the other day when he played just half the game. Maybe I put him here and then we can pick later out of the two who actually start. And people are going to be loading up on these games, the ones with the big injuries on the Golden State game on this side. They just are. It's smart, You don't want to miss out. I mean, for sure, there's some contrarian. I mean, there's ways to pivot off of all of these. But all of these are pretty, short of LeBron, most of these guys are cheap. So there's going to be value to pick from, for sure. I mean, those guys aren't going to suddenly play. Let's look at Orlando. No, we got plenty of time. What game am I on? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Just finishing up the fourth game, 5 games to go. A couple of them are nothing to talk about much, so... and there's some teams in there that are not much to talk about, so... Yeah, they still have Harden. I mean, for sure, his usage is going to be like 40 tonight. I don't really know that, but... I like... Let's see, let's go to Orlando's injuries first before I get ahead of myself. Suggs listed as day-to-day quadriceps. Oh, right quad is listed as questionable for Thursday. Well, today's Friday. It's also the front end of a back-to-back, so I'd be surprised to see Magic exercise cost him. Well, yeah, if Suggs is out, Terrence Ross scored 19 off the bench when last time he was out. That's something to think about. So you'll have to keep your eye on that. Sorry. Garbage trucks making all kinds of noise out there. Okay. Suggs, Moore, MCW, Fultz, Isaac, starting lineup, Cole Anthony, Suggs with the Q tag, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, Mo Bamba. Well, I like Mo Bamba in this position. For sure. I like Cole Anthony in this position. No KD helps. It shortens them up a bit. And it takes away his length and his defense too. Not that he's the best defender of all time. I mean, you can argue with all kinds of people about all kinds of things, but yeah, Suggs is one of those guys I haven't played much of. I don't really believe in him. I don't yet. I mean, let's look at his numbers. Can't spell, but other than that, 30 last game. But just going down and look how many times has he done that? 1, 2 times this season. A lot of 14, a lot of 16, a lot of 11, a lot of 18, a lot of 17 on a lot of starting minutes. 30 minutes almost at Toronto, 29.4. I mean, New York seems to be but then the next night, 15. He's so hit and miss. I mean, yeah, he's a rookie. It is what it is. Yeah, I like his salary for a starter too. I don't think I can put him in my pool. I know there's other guys. Oh yeah, I know. I get it. I like Franz Wagner better. For sure. 5,100. I mean, yeah, he's a 0.8 guy, but if I had to pick, he's getting more minutes. He's getting more per minute. He's getting more total. Well, for $400 more. I mean, if you're gonna pick, you go on Wendell Carter if you're going there. So I'm actually going to do that in this matchup. No question. 31.3 fantasy points per game on 1.09 fantasy points per game. Dude averages 5x value. 5.05x value on the season. Not a lot of guys out there starting at 5x value. Those are guys you want to get to, especially in matchups against depleted teams. I'm just saying. So that's it for that. Oklahoma City and Milwaukee is another 214.5. I think Vegas is getting complacent. I think they're just getting lazy. Sorry, Vegas. Well, if every single game is projected at 214.5 total, every single one, it's like, okay, that's lame. Let's look at Milwaukee. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, if you don't know what to look at, this has blowout written all over it, but is that reality? Is that reality? I mean, Milwaukee is a heavy favorite. Yep, they've got Middleton back, for sure. So, I mean, I get it. Minutes got to come from someone, though. There's going to be a game played, you guys. It's not like it's going to be 110-0. So... all right, let's bust through this. Giannis, you know about him, right? There's nothing I can say about Giannis that is going to be news to you other than even at $11,000+, you got to get him in your pool. Right? Am I wrong? I don't know. I mean, I like Bobby Portis too. I think his usage will go down now that Middleton is back. For sure. Yeah, I'm not that big a Grayson Allen guy. 0.84 hasn't done it for me yet. $5,200 is the only thing I like about him. Drew Holiday, now that Middleton is back. I mean, that'd be interesting to look at, I guess. Let's look at the last couple games with Drew Holiday. I mean, definitely a little bit of a... I mean, he was, 30 still. I mean, can you get 34, 35 fantasy points for $7,600 elsewhere? I mean, common sense would kind of say that you can, right? George Hill, Brook Lopez, DiVincenzo. George Hill's listed as probable. It doesn't really matter. So I'm getting to Giannis for sure in this game. There's no question about that. Every time I play Chris Middleton, it's like 30. I mean, he just gets like low 30s. Every time, for years. I mean, averaging 35. I just don't... and that's on 31 minutes. Is he going to get 31 minutes against OKC? Probably not. Probably not. No injuries on OKC to talk about. Starting lineup there, Josh Giddey, Shea, Lou Dort, Baisley, Jeremiah Robinson, Earl. Well, I can show you Portis, I guess. I mean, mid-20s. Mid to high 20s. What's his salary? $6,100. So not great on value. So I'm probably fading Portis today. I'm really just going to go Giannis and Chris Middleton. I mean, we'll probably a low percentage of Drew Holiday just in case he has one of those games. or just in case the other two end up sitting more and he ends up anchoring the bench for more time. There's not a lot to like from OKC in this matchup, is there? I've been playing Josh Giddey. It's been helpful. $5,800 salary is still there. There's not much else. I mean, you get to Shea. 1.04 fantasy points per game, per minute. You can get to Shea. I played Lou Dort the other night. It was a totally different matchup, though. He had a huge game. Huge game. Oh, my stomach, you guys. Oh, are you guys hearing this? My stomach is going bananas. All of a sudden, that breakfast sandwich is not sitting well, or maybe it's the coffee. I think the coffee's fine. Anyway, Lou Dort. Yeah, I can look at Lou real quick. I mean, I had all kinds of time, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm running out. He had a big game the other day, 48.6. Nothing to complain about there. Yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, I'm against Chris Middleton and this team tonight. Lou Dort is it's a hard sell for me. Baisley, same thing. You're really just Giddey and Shea. Nobody else to talk about there. So there's plenty of other value tonight, and I don't think Dort is it. What's the next game? LA at New Orleans, another 2:15 game as far as totals. Okay, let's take a look. Ooh, my stomach, man. I don't know. Took a turn on me. Four games left. We're going to bust through them in about 17 minutes. Let's start with the Clippers. Still Batum, Winslow, Ibaka, Marcus Morris, Preston Leonard. Let's look at Batum. Questionable for Friday's game. Unable to play Thursday due to an Achilles issue. Amir Coffey started. I don't know what. Yeah, I didn't really pay attention. I did end up with a little coffee in my player pool. Yeah, I know. Make the jokes. I don't know what he did. 13 fantasy points as a starter. I mean, you just totally fade him. Reggie Jackson, Eric Bledsoe, Paul George, Batum with the Q tag, and Zubats. I'm interested to see what Zubats did, I guess, last night, too, because I had a little of him, and I don't recall seeing anything from him. 26. So that's kind of where he is, right? He's like a 24, 25 guy. So, I mean, if you want to do the 5.5 times 5, what do you get? Alexa, what's 5.5 times 5? You guys know the answer.
5.5 times 5 is 27.5.
So he gets just under his value every night? Right? I guess I could have just looked at his freaking value, right? 4.4 value every night. 0.99. Maybe this is the matchup. I don't know. You got Joe Val under there. Something to think about there. Either way, Paul George is a stud. 1.36 fantasy points per minute. 10,100. Get you some Paul George. I don't think that I have not played Paul George in any games that he's played in. I think I've played him every single night that he's played. Not a lot of other good choices. I mean, I get to a little Eric Bledsoe. People like Reggie Jackson. I don't hate Reggie Jackson. Mid-20s on average here. Right? 28.9 fantasy points per game on average. Is tonight one of those matchups against New Orleans? Maybe. Well, they haven't played him. Not that I can see here. He's having a pretty good season. I wish he was like 5,500. I get it. Either way, I think I'm going to put him in my pool. Maybe we'll get to a low percentage, 15% or something. I feel okay about that. I mean, probably same with Eric Bledsoe. Low numbers on that one, just in case. That's pretty much it. I mean, you can look at Terrence Mann or Luke Kennard. These guys are almost the same player when it comes to production. 45 and 4,600. Winslow's out. Yeah, I just don't know. You know, which one's going to get 40 fantasy points? Probably neither. If even with Batum out, maybe Zubats gets a few extra. No idea. Clippers are just one of those teams. Let's look at New Orleans. I mean, off the bat, Joe Val is 8,200. He's got a good ceiling for me. I always play him. It's all about percentages. It's all about yeah, I mean, some nights I'm going to have 40 or 50% of him. Other nights I'm going to have 12%, you know. Ingram, another guy, 8,100. He's playing tonight, as far as I can tell. Let's double check the injury report for this team, because I haven't really looked at it. Just Dalton, Holmes, and Zion. Starting lineup projected at Devontae Graham with a Q tag. Alexander Walker, Josh Hart, Ingram, Valanciunas. I'm really, yep, on this one I'm really getting just to Ingram and Val. They've got him listed at power forward. That's fine. I can live with that. Ingram and Val. Well, Alexander Walker at 0.92, that was 1.0 whatever. It's come down some. And we'll have to look if Devontae Graham somehow ends up out. You know, who's going to take that place? Does Josh Hart's usage go up at that point? Those are guys I don't love in this matchup. It's just really Ingram and Val. Herb Jones had started some games at some point but didn't really produce. I'm just looking down the line. I don't see anybody that's going to step in and be the ultimate game changer. Satoransky's played some okay games for other teams. 3,800.57 is horrible. Garrett Temple, maybe. I don't think they're going to produce enough to matter. So keep your eye on Devontae Graham. I don't really know what's going on with him. He's not really listed on this injury report. It doesn't matter which. Doesn't matter which injury report you look at. None of them are comprehensive. None of them are just perfect all the time. Downgraded to questionable, it says. Well, this one's from 2 hours ago, so that's probably the most recent that I'm seeing on this list of news. Let's see what it says. Graham has yet to miss a game, but that streak could come to an end. Left soreness. If he's unable to suit up, Satoransky could move into the lineup. That's something to keep an eye on. Because Satoransky is $3,800. So, I'm going to go to my pool. I'm going to put him under the maybe. Don't get on me about my spelling. As long as I can read it, that's all that matters. So, if Satoransky comes in at $3,800, you'll have to get a small percentage of him at least. Okay, a couple of games left. Let's do it up. Let's do it up. What am I doing here? I'm like spaced. Totally spaced, you guys. Clippers, yeah. Next game. Bulls at Denver, 209.5. It just gets better, right? Just gets better. There we go. Start with the old Chicago. Yeah, DeRozan has really stepped into his own. I mean, he's kind of old to be doing that, but he really is this season. Really showing. Javonte Green day-to-day, Caruso day-to-day, both listed as probable. Vucevic, Patrick Williams. Starting lineup on this one, Lonzo Ball, Caruso with the P-tag, Levine, DeRozan, Bradley. I mean, there's a lot to like here. DeMar DeRozan for sure at 41.37 fantasy points per game on 1.17 per minute. His usage is over 30. Levine's usage is over 30. Those two guys are just automatic pencils for me. Against Denver, yeah, Denver has a good team. Jokic is questionable, so this game could get a little out of hand either direction. A lot of capital letters in your name there, DeMar. There we go. That's okay. I love you. It's all good. You know what? Alex Caruso played out the other night too. I loved that. Will Barton now probable for Denver, but we can. Man, I'm just running out of time. I can't look at every single player. I could put Caruso in my maybes. This maybe list is really long today. And it's because of the crazy Friday night injuries. Who knows who's playing what and where because of the injuries. We'll keep our eye on the report in the next couple hours and then whittle these guys in or out. I just don't want to put them in my pool and then have to try to remember who I wasn't sure about, you know? And no, I'm not in Canada, even though I said about. Sorry. Lonzo, let's look at Lonzo quickly. I'm not sure. Yeah. He's going to be another one of those players. Here, 6,800. I don't mind that, but 32 a game doesn't do a lot for me at that price. 6.8 times 5. I mean, basically you need 35 out of him in order for him to hit value. Can he get there? Sure. Will he? I don't know. Can you get that price? Can you get those points for that price elsewhere? I think so. Maybe even right here from Caruso if it ends up happening. I know Kobe White has been playing, but he's not listed in the starting lineup. So maybe they're easing him back in. 0.19 in the short period he's played. Pretty rough. Javonte Green gets a few minutes. Patrick Williams, I think he's out, right? Yep. Vooch is out. So, I mean, you can look at some Lonzo. We can put Lonzo. You know what? Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, he might be one of those guys, gets 37 and fills in your optimal. You never know. You never know. Yesterday was a perfect example of a bunch of stars that all sucked, and we ended up with everybody ended up in the money bet 310 or lower, 308 or high 200s. Whatever. All right. Man, I'm running out of time. Hate that. Denver. This is a tough one because you don't know what's going to happen with Joker. That's right. Najee, Porter, Murray listed on the injury report. I don't know what I don't know what NBC is doing, but they're not updating their injury reports very well lately. So I might have to switch that out for someone else. It's listing Morris, Barton probable, Gordon, Jeff Green, Jokic. If Barton doesn't play, then Monte Morris could be a viable play. If Barton does play, what was wrong with him? Low back. If Barton does play, then you can feel okay about getting to him. I don't know. It's such a low total game. If Jokic doesn't play, then you're going to have to look to figure out what they're doing. Let me switch it over to Denver. Just talking smack at this point without any actual info. If Jokic doesn't play and Barton does, you'll have to get to Barton. Aaron Gordon at 5,100 with no Jokic. Monte Morris, 5,100 with no Jokic. They're all going to my in my maybes. Because I'm not going to play him if Jokic plays. I don't think they're that good a play as if Jokic is on the floor. If Jokic is out, that's a whole different thing. I think you can play Will Barton either way. I'm still going to put him over here. I probably will feel better about him with no Jokic. Otherwise, I'm really just playing Jokic on Denver against Chicago. That's it. All right. Yeah, people get to Campazzo. People get to Dozier and these guys. Jeff Green. Production is poor. I don't. I skipped I'll skip most of those guys. Dallas at Phoenix. 211.5. I don't like that total. I think Luka probably still out, right? Either way, there's not a lot to love. Well, let's just look at Dallas. Phoenix is a good defensive team. It's hard. Luka and Kleba. Yep, Luka's out. So Brunson, Hardaway, DFS, Kristaps, Dwight Powell. Right away, I'm looking at Kristaps at 9,000. He had a good night the other night, 1.28 fantasy points per minute. Brunson's a no-brainer at 6,500, 1.0, basically 1 fantasy point per minute. Hardaway had a big game the other night. I'm going all three of those guys, and I'm going to them without thinking twice about it. Even against Phoenix, somebody's got to play minutes, right? Brunson's been playing well. Just usage is just going to go up with no Luka. Tim Hardaway, same thing. I like it. I'm not going anywhere else on this team. I mean, there's just nowhere else to go. None of these guys get any minutes to matter. DFS if you want. 0.68 doesn't make me want to throw him in, even in the starting lineup. That's it. Let's look at Chris Paul. I said it. 8,900. Got to get to him. Devin Booker. Got to get to him. DeAndre Ayton. I guess. Let's see. Let's look at injuries there real quick. Kaminsky, Saric, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Bridges, Crowder, Ayton. I mean, you can feel good about getting to Chris Paul. I mean, you can feel good about getting to Devin Booker. You can get to Mikal Bridges, right? Man, I feel like he really screwed me the other day, though. I'm gonna put him here. Come back to him. We'll take a deeper dive, no pun intended, after, because I got in about 14 minutes. I got to leave. So let's get through the teams. We'll get a player pool you can look at, and then we can whittle it down later. Right? Let's see. Toronto at sack. 219.5. Yay! Points. Sorry, I said yay points. I don't. You got me, you guys. And I'm tired. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Sacramento injuries. None. Sweet. De'Aaron Fox at 7,800. You know, he's got a decent ceiling. I do like Rashawn Holmes here, 1.15 fantasy points per minute. You know, these guys are guys that I feel like you might need to get to them in this matchup against Toronto. I mean, I feel good about loading up on this game. Fox, Holmes, Barnes, Halliburton. Probably not Buddy. Although Buddy and Halliburton are pretty much the same player production-wise. Halliburton just gets the minutes. Davion Mitchell is young. Good price. He's not there yet. Metu, not there yet. But I'm going to put, De'Aaron Fox will be in my player pool. For sure. So will Halliburton. Harry Barnes. I feel like this could be one of those nights, and we'll look a little closer to lock where Harry, maybe Harry doesn't show up as much. I don't know why. 9 games. Player pool's getting pretty big, guys. $22. 46 right now. 46. Alexa, what's 46 divided by 18?
36 divided by 18 is approximately 2.5556.
I guess that's what I always aim at. 2.5 to 3 players per team. Because some you'll end up with more, some you'll end up with less. It gives you a player pool that gives you more options. It kind of spreads itself out, you know, especially if you're doing extra uniques, which I do on occasion. So that's where I'm at on that. Let's look at Toronto, start with their injuries. Anunoby out indefinitely. Achua day-to-day still. Keep your eye on that, I guess. I think he's out. Starting lineup listed as Van Vliet, Trent, Scotty Barnes, Siakam, and Kem Birch. Kem, yeah, I played Kem yesterday. I don't think he did squat for me. I do like Fred Van Vliet in this matchup, for sure. Let's actually look at him. Let's see. Yeah, 8,400. He gets 1.04 fantasy. This is one of those teams. There's a bunch of guys that get real close to a fantasy points per minute. They all get a lot of minutes, but no one's a world beater yet. You know, Anunoby's out, so that usage will, I think, fall to Siakam. So I'll get Pascal in my pool. I think that's right. Scotty Barnes is in. So we can look at him, young guy, 6,800, 0.92. Against Sacramento, the opportunity for him is there. For sure. For sure. I mean, Kem isn't really the guy, you know, if you go to Kem here, 4,100, 0.76, but if he can, you know, yeah, if he's going to get 30 minutes or 29 minutes, I mean, Sacramento is not known for their defensive bigs. Right? So I'm going to put Kem Birch in tonight. I think he'll have quite a bit of opportunity. I think that's pretty much it. You know, we'll keep our eyes on some things, see what, you know, if Precious plays, then Kem Birch might be, you'll have to reconsider that. So, I mean, maybe that is something where we put them here and then sort of weed them in later. I think that's it, you guys. 9 up, 9 down. Perfect timing, too. I got to leave in a couple minutes, so I think the pool is pretty ready to go. As news comes out, we'll whittle some of these guys in and go from there. That's not it. Eventually I'll find it. There we go. So there's the pool. LaMelo, Brogdon, Westbrook, Harden, Anthony Holiday, Giddey, Jackson, Ball, Brunson. That's Lonzo Ball, Brunson, Chris Paul, De'Aaron Fox, Van Vliet, Rozier, LeVert, Jordan Poole, Patty Mills, Shea, Bledsoe, Levine, Hardaway, Booker, Halliburton, Hayward, Wiggins, Sadiq Bey, Tatum, Bruce Brown, Paul George, Harry Barnes, Scotty Barnes, Bridges, Sabonis, Grant, Carter, Giannis, Ingram, DeRozan, Porzingis, Siakam, Plumlee, Turner, Isaiah. I think this was supposed to be Stewart. Sorry. Horford, Anthony Davis, Mo Bamba, Joe Val, DeAndre, Rashawn Holmes. Scotty Barnes. I mean, there's no value in this list. Your value is in this list, okay? And we're not sure who to play because we don't know what rotations look like yet, right? The questionable maybes, and that doesn't mean they're questionable for the night. It means they're maybes on whether you're going to play them or not, based on who's starting and who's not, which we'll find out the closer we get to lock. Duarte, Damian Lee, Bielitsa, Toscano Anderson, Gary Payton II. You got to keep your eye on that Golden State game. Cade Cunningham, I think a lot of players. For me, I think I'm going to pivot. He's going to be highly owned. Schroeder is actually questionable. LeBron is actually questionable. THT with LeBron back may be not a good play. James Johnson right now listed as a starter. LaMarcus might start. Satoransky, Alex Caruso, Monte Morris, Aaron Gordon, Will Barton, Bridges, and Kem Birch. So that's where you're going to get your cheaper players. No, you're probably not going to play all those guys. You're just probably not. So, all right, dudes and dudettes and folks and whatever. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If I've dropped a few frames here and there, I apologize. I'm trying not to. Winter's coming, and who knows what's going on. So, all right, you guys. That's all I got for today. Peace out. Win some money. We'll see you Monday. Word up. Goonies never say die. All that stuff.